Hi everyone, welcome to Type Talks. Today we have four ESTP preference people, and we're going to talk about flow states and improvising and your relationship with that. The ESTP type is known to be an improviser, and they tend to like to improvise in the moment or to adapt to the moment and to make an impact. We can explain this more in depth with people's experiences here. And yeah, I just love to hear a little bit about y'all. So, Jane, would you like to tell us a bit about you?
Okay, my name is Jane Maloney, and I've spent the last 30 years as a consultant going into an organization to help them develop teams that are innovative, optimizing their results in some way. Since the beginning of my career, I have been aware of the Myers-Briggs. I was in the first training program to certify people, and I have found it very useful for me to at least know the leader's MBTI type, the teams, to use that around decision making. It's been a very useful tool in a field where you're working with people around how they make decisions, how they distribute authority, how they communicate with each other. In my first career, way back, I loved dance. I wanted to be a professional dancer. I was this much in modern dance, but I noticed also that comfort with physical movement might be part of this type. Comfort in observing other people's movement and using that as data is also a real part of type, and that part of my self-care to feel grounded in myself has a physicality to it. So I'm curious to see if any of the other people on this panel have that relationship to sports or moving, whatever.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have a lot of hard relating around that, Jane. I noticed because extroverted sensing has such a skill around noticing physicality like that, they can also notice when the outside environment looks awkward too. So, "Ooh, that physicality looks awkward. That person has an awkward posture, or they're wearing their shirt in an awkward way." It can be an awareness of the physical environment too. And Elaine, would you like to give us a short intro?
Okay, hi, my name is Elaine Dinsmore, and I'm an artist and graphic designer, and I guess I'm into a lot of things, like everything from like cosplay to like rock collecting to walking around in the woods, and like any sort of like physical activity like that. I'm not the most athletic person, but I found that I'm pretty good at a lot of skills that involve hands-on activities.
There is that hands-on quality to SP types. Very cool. I bet that really assists you in your cosplaying to have that skill set. And so, Christian, we'd love to hear from you.
Sorry, I had to move. So I was in an empty classroom, and there was a class going on now, so I had to gather. Um, I'm just right here. Okay. Um, Hi. Um, my name is Christian. I am 21 years old. I turned 21 last month, and I have ESTP preferences, and I think I'm an 8 wing 9. I'm not sure. That's probably like the best guess right now, but yeah, I play basketball. What else about me? Um, I don't know. I think that's it for right now. I think I'll save everything else for the rest of the panel. But yeah, I'm very excited to be here, and yeah, I'm gonna find somewhere else to sit.
On my panels, I always have a token SE Dom moving around. So you are the one that is on the move, adapting and improvising as we speak of the topic, which is quite fitting. And Marcus, tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm Marcus. I'm from Sweden. I'm 31 years old, and I'm a social worker. I've got a bachelor's degree in social work. I work specifically with young people who have criminal behavior and other negative behaviors related to that. And I've always been athletic. Um I've been engaged in many different sports. Mostly soccer has been my number one, and I still play some, though not at a specifically high level. Just for fun and to stay in shape. Um, and also, I'm very interested in psychology, and mostly about how people work and how people work on an individual level, and how also on a group level, and also like the world as a whole from a people perspective.
Very cool, Marcus. Yeah, I think most people who are into typology have some sort of fascination with psychology too, because you just want to understand the mind's working of another individual. And so, hi, my name is Joyce, and I'm a certified MBTI master practitioner. I also help people in the self discovery process of figuring out their best fit type. And so, Jane mentioned a really cool comment around sequencing and how that's not her thing. And so, I wondered if you could go into that because I think it's very enlightening.
All right. At the moment, my mind is ringing a bit with creativity, that word, and it may dovetail into sequencing. Someone talked about, I think that my work with clients, it's about watching their process unfold and not having an idea of what it is, but to be watching it emerging. And I feel that in a way, what I do is I nurture creativity in the business world. First, I was doing it in the dance world. And my idea is this curiosity of how things are going to emerge. When I have to put things into a sequence, someone says marketing, what's your program? What's your sequence? Or I've prepared a workshop, lots of 2-3 hours where I'm training, or when I have the ideas and I know what I want to do, I can see so many connections. I have a hard time putting things into order or guessing how long they'll take. So that's what I meant earlier when I talked about it. And the sequencing, it's the opposite of this extroverted sensing that we lead with. The introverted sensing is the reviewing, having a sense of how things progress and using that information to have a process and improve it and have a way to make things progress easily going in the future. As soon as I have to start putting things into sequence and order and decide how the flow is, I want to watch that in the moment, and I don't easily have a gut sense of how things need to progress. I know what the essence is, but I don't always know how to make things progress. And I kind of like leaving things open when I'm being creative. I just wonder what my colleagues on this panel, if any of what I'm saying relates to them.
I can understand what you're saying. Like, for me, in like the basketball, like, like athletic space, like for me, like, and like, because also like maybe because I'm so young, but it can be daunting to think about like the whole picture of what I want to do or where I want to go, and so to like mitigate that, you'll think about it like, okay, I'm not worried about the whole picture or the whole like idea. I'll just worry about today and get today done, and however I want to do that, that's just what I'll do. And I think for me, like there's like a urgency for me when it comes to like trying to just move forward. 'Cause I don't want to, I think like a fear of mine is to be like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I don't want to stay stuck, I guess is like a good way to explain it. And so there's like a need to want to go forward, even if I'm like stumbling and like I'm not really, I don't know what I'm doing. I just have to move beyond where I was yesterday or today or whatever the case may be. Huh? No, I have no idea.
I relate to the word urgency.
Yeah. Like there's like a really strong need to just want to keep going. And you don't want to stay stuck. You don't want to stay, stagnant. And however, like just like by any means necessary, you just have to keep going. And so there's a lot of, I guess like I'll think of different ways of how I want to kind of like attack the day, or just kind of like break it down and make it more simplistic or make it more sustainable, manageable, whatever the case may be. But I just gotta keep going in some kind of way. I can't wake up one day and understand where I'm at and then the next day be in the same spot. It's just I have to go forward. So I think I understand what you're saying, like like just not really wanting or understanding how to like segment it like that. Like, I think I understand that. Yeah.
Tomorrow's problems is for tomorrow's me, and you're focused on today, or like monitoring the in the moment flux situation. Like the urgency exists in the moment, and outside of the moment it can feel a little less real too, because that's more of a guess or speculation, but you don't know for sure until it's actually happening right now.
Yeah, I know that I was thinking about like the whole focusing like completely on the present moment. It's like a sort of tunnel vision, I guess. It's like the only thing that exists is right now, and I can't think of anything else. It's too many things to have in my mind at once. Like what's in front of me is what exists, basically.
So yeah, what was the original question?
We were just talking about improvising, so any general
Was it?
comments? Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I definitely like to prepare some key points if I get like a presentation or I'm meeting with a client or something like that. Then I want to have a body to work with, and with that in mind, and with that preparation, then I can improvise around that, like with that material. And in the moment, I can observe the response. So then I can read the atmosphere in the moment. Then you have to adapt to the current situation. Just some preparation, but I've noticed that if I prepare too much, then I start to get a bit nervous, actually, because then it's like then I have to follow this manuscript, and that's pretty hard to do for me. So
Yeah, I really get that. I feel like I think it's like there's like a balance you have to have, like I guess with us, like with our preferences, like we want to prepare so we're not like clueless, but at the same time we don't want to like, like have the whole thing planned out. It kind of feels a little what's the word, like limiting, I guess is like probably like the best word I can like it feels like inflexible. Like it's you have to abide by like what you planned out, and you have to go like in order and all of that, because like I might want to like skip a part because it's not really that necessary in the moment, or it doesn't really leave any room to adapt to what's actually necessary when you're actually presenting it. So I think like bullet points and like having like ideas to like talk about and kind of just just go everywhere with is a little more beneficial than like planning the entire thing out. Because I'd rather just like if I was like giving a presentation, I'd rather just like have like footnotes or like bullet points, and then I'll just go from there and there and there and just talk about it instead of having like a whole structured thing laid out. It's kind of, yeah, I feel like I'd probably get more out of just a bullet point and then we talk about it, and then bullet point and then we talk about it, and like if I don't need to talk about this, then I can skip over it because I didn't like structure it. It's just there, so I get that.
Yeah, the words limiting, trapped, or almost like something takes away your freedom. If you plan too much, it takes away your freedom to improvise. And so, yeah, Jane?
As you two were talking, the word that kept coming to me was discovery. Because we have that in the moment observation, if you're completely, it's almost like you decided what you're going to say and it's going to roll out of your mouth and you're going to ignore who you're speaking to. You wouldn't do that, would you? Right? And that I think our type is excited by discovery, and we like hands-on because, if I see a pen, I want to see what I can do with it. I see a client, I see a problem, I want to say, how are they relating? I want to gather the data before I try to show them another way. First, I'm going to look at them, So too much structure cuts down on discovery. That rings for me.
yeah, structure can suffocate ideas, and in the moment, better ways of going about it. Like the worst nightmare for me would be like every day is the same. It's on repetition. That's like slow death. That's
An introverted sensing nightmare. It's like, oh, you're reviewing and you're going through the same day and the same routine. Yeah, that's scary. That's
Yeah,
scary.
That sounds horrifying.
it's like there's one thing in life that can get me down, can get me, depressed or whatever you want to call it, and that's the thing. Like when there's no, I know that the days that are coming, the weeks, the months, if they're gonna look the same or very similar, then what's the point? Like, but I'm not gonna allow that to happen anyway. So it's never gonna be that way. I'm gonna change it up.
Yeah. Whereas for people of other personality types, the stability and the structure and the security might be important to them. So having similar months is important to them.
Well, I'm curious about where we find stability, because I would say maybe we just have a different idea of what stability. And while I don't like to sequence, I love models. I love analyzing my clients' data against different models and understand, like, my security going into the client is I have analyzed this using structures that are models, and I like the theory underneath the model. And to me, that's really important. But then it's what you discover with it. It's that gem that comes up in the moment. So I'm curious how others, like, what is the thing that you hold that is your stability, so that we can act on these discoveries?
Something that gives me a lot of comfort. I think that kind of goes back to like what I was saying, like when you're kind of like not focusing on like the whole picture and you're just taking it day by day. Like I think what gives me a lot of comfort is just knowing that I'm going somewhere. So it's like, okay, like I'm working toward this thing every day, and yes, it's like I'm kind of just going grinding out every single day, but I am working towards something greater than myself, and I can feel comforted knowing that that's where I'm headed. It's not. It's like I think for me, like I feel uncomfortable or anxious when I don't know, like where that path is going, and it's like it's one thing to be flexible and have the the freedom to kind of like pivot any which way, but I think as so long as it's kind of like going in like that same direction that I want to go in, I think I'd be okay. It's a whole different story if I'm like kind of like bouncing from one thing to the other and I don't really have any like rhyme or reason or anything like greater to go towards. I think that makes me uncomfortable because now it's like, okay, what am I really doing though? And that's where like the fear and anxiety can probably seep in for me, is because like I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of just I'm just existing, but I want to exist for something greater than me. So I want to be able to go into a direction that I feel comforted by. So I think working towards something greater than me is probably something that would give me a lot of comfort in life.
I think what I guess grounds me most on earth, or like what gives me like comfort and structure, would be just like grounding myself in the present, because I get really anxious whenever there's too much speculation about everything. Like, maybe it'll be like the future, or like something that's coming up that I probably should not be overthinking or something like that. So like just grounding myself in that silence and in that moment, and forgetting like any sort of anxiety at that moment.
Well, for me, it's it's very similar to the thing that how I go about like a presentation. Like it's a representation of my life pretty much. Like I need some key points to be the base. The body must be there, like the basic needs, the basic security, and from that secure base, then I can go from there and improvise and be more bold, I guess. And but I always need like there's always like an intention behind where I need to know. I have to think about where I'm heading, there must be some kind of a purpose behind it. It's not just for fun. More than when I was younger. Then I, a lot more like just for fun. But now there has to be a certain purpose behind it that I see a long-term reward for, and then I will engage in that activity or something like that. So yeah. But Christian, how do you you talked about that you feel like you're on some kind of a path, right? Day by day. Do you feel like a similar thing? Like there's at the same time it's day by day, but is there still like in your back of your mind like a more long-term vision for it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you just it's just like it's not really anything I can like explain like concretely. You just kind of like you just know that you're going in this direction, and that gives you a lot of comfort, you know, getting up and you know, going to trainings or going to, you know, workouts or, you know, like and it gives you a lot of comfort when you're going through like the ups and downs of the journey, because that's going to happen. It's not going to be all good the whole time. It's not going to be all bad the whole time. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs and a lot of, you know, twists and turns or whatever the case may be. But knowing that you're going in a direction that is just you're working towards something bigger than you, bigger than the people around you, like that's so motivating. And even on the days where you don't want to get up, it's incredibly motivating and incredibly comforting to know that that's where the work is going. You know, it's not, the work isn't going to, you know, nowhere. It's going to something, you know, beyond what is currently happening. And that's like really, really comforting, because day to day, like I'm only focused on what's currently happening, you know? So it's like to have that in the back of your head is very, very, very special.
Yeah, I can relate to that too, because like I know that any like the highest points of my life have been whenever I was working towards something, because like I think one of the best parts was being in college and like working towards, you know, a degree. It felt really nice to know what I was doing. And also like whenever I was like in my 2 internships that I took, it felt really nice to have something that was concrete and in front of me, and like I was working towards something. So yeah, I definitely can feel that.
And I wonder if what we're talking about too is our second function, the analytic, because I was so glad, Chris, when you brought it in. The improvising is not just what gets our fancy in the moment. It's to move the energy in the right direction. And I feel with extroverted sensing, we see action opportunities all around us. It's like, harness it, make it move in the direction you want to make it move. Because if you don't, it's going to go somewhere else. And when I see like non-improvisers, I think they're talking about this goal, but there's opportunities at this elbow and this elbow, but they won't take them because I don't know, they seem to have some perfect idea how it's supposed to happen. That if you know what your purpose is, you grab the opportunities around you just to keep it moving, because every time you move, you get data. I feel like we're data collectors. You get data by going with, you know, and it took me a while to put words to it, but it's my feeling of, oh, I know my purpose in life. There's this thing bigger than me. You talk about that, Christian? It's called evolution. And human beings, we have to evolve here. And it's hard to bring differences together. And I help people, you know, I think of creative process, it's their MBTI, how they manifest things. And when you've got a group of specialists who have to solve a really complex problem, it's complicated to do good teamwork and get the best of everybody. It's a lot easier to snap down and just kind of go along with each other. No, it's hard to do what is really creative and bring in all the diversity of thought. That's what my business is about. And so I know I have this purpose, and I just want to place it where I need to. So I wonder how others see this sense of there's a calling, and it's not a specific goal. I don't know that the endpoint is a specific place. I don't know exactly, but I know that what I'm about and the opportunities I'm looking for, and I'll jump on them because I'll always learn. And it's something about helping mankind evolve one team at a time, one executive at a time, one member at a time. So I'm just wondering, and it's kind of airy like that, but then I know how to take those opportunities and do something with them. So how do others know of all that activity, which are the ones you grab?
I think it's kind of like I think it's like at least for us and probably for ESFPs too, because they have that NI at the bottom. I think that's probably what that is, like that, like because it's like it's so, you know, like that feeling, that knowing, like that understanding of what you're calling is, whatever the case may be, like it's so like when you really, you don't, it's hard to like grasp it for us, like the SE dominance, I feel like, and it's like it's more of like an instinctual thing. It's like when we know, and we just kind of like everything that we do is just going towards that. You know, I think both ESTPs and ESFPs can relate to that. And so I it's difficult to understand. I think like the messages that about, you know, like finding your purpose and you know, like doing what's like like your fate or like your destiny, like that's like the most applicable to like the SE dominance, because that's that NI, like that's that inferior NI talking. That's like their destiny or their fate. You know, that's what they're referring to, and I see that a lot actually in like the basketball world, because I feel like a lot of basketball players are SE dominants and or have high SE, and so they're coming from that place. You know, when they're grinding the days out. You know, like that's what they're talking about. Like when I hear like Steph Curry talk when he's playing basketball, like, I hear him talk about, you know, his journey. He's saying the same things. And so like when you kind of like when you see people like that, where you can really like relate to them, and not just like what their occupation, but like mentally, like they're really coming from the same places. That's really, really, really special. So yeah.
Regarding opportunities, I feel like there's an intuitive understanding of when it reveals itself in front of us. Like we see, like I see that this will lead to that, and then I, on an intuitive level, know that that can lead to many different things that are positive for me, like other opportunities. But I know like that one will, if I engage in that opportunity, then that might lead to several others. So do you feel something similar, Jane?
Well, I do, but I saw Elaine move her head too. So I want both of us come in here. I felt like I love that you went to our fourth function, because I'm clearly the oldest person in this panel, like more than double your age, Christian. You're very young to figure this out. The sense of vision that I don't know that we talk about it so easily, but there's vision. And Marcus, when you talked about the intuition of this will lead to that, that's my idea of sequencing. I mean, that's as far as I can get. I can go, oh, that could open the door to this. Like I'll be excited. I'll be telling either my husband or my office, other people in the office of, oh, good request come in. This is really interesting. I really want to attend to that because, you know, I heard this in their needs and I think that could open up to this. And, you know, I do tend to stay with a client for a long time because I see how one opening. So yeah, my idea of sequencing is an intuitive sense of opportunity. That was great the way you said that. Elaine, you nodded too.
Wait, I'm sorry, I kind of blanked out at the moment. Can someone repeat the question?
Well, it had started with Marcus saying he gets an intuitive sense of something like, where do we get our goals, you know, our purpose and stuff, because ESTP isn't known for that if you just look at the short description, but we are improvising towards something. We're not just improvising. And then Marcus talking about, yeah, we have a, you know, our analyzing. We have an essence that we're going for, a reason, a thing. And then saying part of picking up is there's an opportunity and a sense of, yeah, and that's going to lead to this.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Not all opportunities are equal. So it's like, how is our, so, and you had a moment where you went, yeah.
yeah. Because like, I know for me, like every opportunity that presents itself, I'm just like, oh, well, this could lead to this, can lead to this. And that's why I'm very careful about who I'm friends with and who, or like what events I go to and where I'm going to hang out. But I also like to put myself out there so that I can find more opportunities. Like lately I've been looking at more social groups and getting involved in a lot of like different, I guess, groups and things like that to increase my following and to find more interesting things to do, because I'm also like a type 7 Enneagram, and like it's all about like seizing the moment and seizing any opportunity you could come across.
Yeah, and I think that an interesting element to this intuitive sense of opportunities is often a very optimistic what's it called, intuition. It's very I don't know the English word, sorry. Yeah, you get the point.
I was just filling out a survey about archetype, the Pearson-Mar, and they were asking these questions about, I think, about being an optimist. And I thought, well, I don't think I'm an optimist because I'm very into the reality of things. But on the other hand, every time I pursue a new contract or goal, I do it because I have a sense of, oh, and that opens the door to this. They're asking for this, they also need this, whatever, or whatever it is, or even learning how to make bread, which I did like everybody else during the pandemic. An idea of, oh, then I could do, I could learn to make this bread that's no longer available at the supermarket, but that's not a great example. But my excitement about growth and opportunity comes through my intuition. It doesn't always come through my extroverted sensing, So I was filling out that survey going, sometimes I'm a realist. No, I see opportunity. Which one am I?
I think the other thing for us, because we have the SE at the top, I think because we can see like the spectrum, like just we can observe, the environment, not just like the physical environment, but like the spectrum of just like things just in general. So like we can see, okay, like I can see like the spectrum, so to speak, of like optimism versus pessimism, and I can see where I might fall like along that line. And so it's like you can kind of see a variety of different, like contexts or like situations where one, way of thinking would apply, or a different way of thinking would apply here. And so it's like you kind of like you can very easily get in the like when you're taking those surveys and your tests, you can very easily like be in the middle with everything because you can kind of you can see both sides. I think that's another thing with like ENTPs can kind of get that way too. They can kind of you're like that devil's advocate type, and you kind of just see everything, in a way. So it's hard to kind of like it's hard to like put your foot down on like a specific way because you can see every which way a ball can spin. So yeah,
Is that our analyzing?
that too.
We like we are analyzing. We really like to try and find the truth and analyze it down to its So
yeah, there's a trope in the type community where they say like people with SE say it depends a lot because it's kind of like in this circumstance, in this SE circumstance, I would be a realist, but in this SE circumstance, you could consider me an optimist. And so like if it were just pure NI, it would just be like this is the overall pattern, so it would be easier to make that kind of decision. Whereas the extroverted sensing is like I can see the different SE moments in which I do different things. And so you don't want to just subscribe it to one pattern yet because you don't fully trust the patterns, but you fully trust the sensory moments.
I do know where I'm skeptical. When I see people see a pattern intuitively, but they don't do a checkup with the data, I'm very untrusting and sometimes angry because I've been in situations where I was co-consulting with someone who did an intuitive look at something. I was doing the analysis and they weren't seeing that my analysis did not support their pattern the way they thought it did. I think we're very careful analysts. the introverted thinking, there's a skepticism of that might be true, but let me check. You know? So when I jump in and improvise, it's not that I am certain of something. I want to find out. I want to shake it and see what it is, you know? Because I think what's hard to explain is you can see us improvising, but you can't see us analyzing. And how that analyzing helps us stay focused. I also remember Linda Behrens was the one I worked with that really helped me see. She's such a master of this. And I remember her saying one thing about S and P together. So it wouldn't just be ESTP, maybe all of them, that were really good bullshit detectors. If someone's trying to sell us, or, you know, so when someone makes some big statement based on some intuitive pattern they'd seen, I think, you didn't look under the hood. I'm not sure you really collected the data. I get skeptical. Other things can make me skeptical, but is it true? Are we good bullshit detectors?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think just I feel like, and especially for like the SE dominance too. I think we just kind of like we can process things really really fast because we're always like our minds are like naturally kind of attuned to the environment and to what's happening around us and observing that physical world. So it's like when someone is speaking or like you can even look at like their body language, especially for us because we have FE. You can really see like like it's hard to explain honestly, but you when you're talking to someone and you can just like it's not even it's almost like subconscious almost because like you can just hear someone talk or you can look at what they're saying. It's just like no. I'm not buying anything you're saying right now. Like and like even like I was in the mall like yesterday, and now people like there's always people like kind of like at like their kiosks like in the middle of the hall, like they're trying to like promote their products and stuff and whatever. And it's like it's almost like the exact same product. Like it doesn't matter who's selling it, it's the same thing. And so like I'll walk past the guy and he's like, oh, you want to see this product? And but he's not like talking about the product yet. He's like trying to like introduce himself and like trying to be polite and all that. And it's like I already know what you're gonna do. Like I already know what's happening here. So and I think like that's not a perfect example, but I think that's like circumstance in essence is like that's like the bullshit detecting. It's like you walk to like you're talking to someone and they're talking and just like I don't know. So I think that's like the best way I can articulate what that's been like for me. Like I'm not even like thinking about it actively. It's just you kind of just that's just the feeling you get, or like that's just like the instinct you get when you hear someone talking. So like something they said just didn't really line up, and I didn't really wasn't buying that. So
Yeah, it's like when someone says that they're a confident person, but their body posture and the way that they talk signals a very insecure person. Your like extroverted sensing is just good at summing up the essence of a person. It's like, oh, instinctually, I'm getting off of all these like body language. It's like hitting me instantly that what you're saying is not congruent with how you hold yourself. So it's catching that BS, as Jane put it. And so the Enneagram 8 is also known for being a BS detector too. And so this is where the MBTI can also layer onto the Enneagram and why there's correlations there too.
Okay, so like I was just thinking about the BS detector. So like a few weeks ago I was looking for jobs and I got this one invitation for an interview, and like I read the job description and it sounded really really good, and I like I'm just like, oh, let's like you miss every shot you don't take. So I did it, and like they asked me to download this like I don't know, this app for the interview, and it was like it wasn't even like a video interview. It was like through like a messaging system, and like that went on, and that was really weird. And then the next day I got a call that said I'd been hired for this, and I was just like, this feels really, really, really fishy. Like, I don't like this at all. Like, I'm not going to give these people my information. But it was really weird because like the job description itself looked pretty legit, and it was from like a big company, and I was just like, well, that's really weird. Like, what's not adding up? And so I started researching some different like ways, or like different scams around that, and I figured out that it was definitely a scam. But I think what mainly indicated that it was a scam for me was that fishy feeling that I got. I was just like, no, this is not real.
That's exactly what I was trying to like articulate. Like, it's like you just kind of know. Like, you don't really like, I can't like explain how. It's just like you hear it, or you hear someone talking, or you see like the app, and it's like it just doesn't line up. Like, something is not clicking here, and it's like it gives you like that off-putting feeling. It's like, okay, I'm moving on from this. This is not, I don't trust this.
So wait, would that be introverted intuition or like introverted thinking? Like, I was wondering, because I know that introverted intuition has that sort of thing about like figuring out what is going on, or like what leads up to what.
In my mind, that's introverted thinking, analyzing the logic, like if it makes sense or not. So I think that's the bullshit detector, the TI.
Marcus, you mentioned that in your social work, you work with criminals or people with criminal behavior. And I got curious. I thought, I bet you have to determine what's real and what's not real, and what's adding up and what's not adding up, and what to trust and what not to trust. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's a big part of it, and it's specifically it's young people. So it's like from 10 years up to 21. So it's very young up to like young adults, and we have this close cooperation with the police and stuff like that, because it's a similar. They're involved in like both social services and the police, of course, because of the behavior. So yeah, the bullshit detector is highly. It's an advantage there, definitely, and but also to it's good to detect, but also how to then combine with the FE, how to then turn it around to steer them like in a positive direction instead, to motivate and persuade, and stuff like that.
So y'all in this room, you're either hands-on or athletic. So I was wondering, how do you use your body? How intuitively does it come to use your body?
Well, I've wondered about this. I know my BS detector, I get a visceral ping. Like there's a signal of okay, that doesn't add up. Even though it might be my brain testing logic, I mean, I have a visceral sense of discomfort that this isn't what it says it is. I know that, being in the now and seeing possibility for action around you can be very exciting. And so I need to go to yoga or a ballet bar to totally focus where I'm putting my energy, and I calm in a way that I find very soothing. They say about this type SP, at least they did years ago, looks comfortable in their body. I don't know if they still say that. I am comfortable in my body. I trust my body. I trust when my body tells me something. I'm also friends with my body. I want to be good to it and help it. Like it's a tool. You work with it. Why would you ignore a sore joint? Why would you ignore the way you eat? Why do you very much a sense of this is my tool, working with it? Christian, I see you, I feel like I observe not just with my five senses, my whole body is the vehicle to observe. I'm observing internal signals. Now, we're supposed to be sensing the outer world, but I sense cues inside my body. I don't know if that is, I would have thought that was internal sensing, but they say that's memory of the past and sequencing. I don't know. But do you feel like you get physical cues through your body to watch out, pay attention, be very alert right now, or no, that can't be what it is, or I'll feel emotion. I'll feel like an empathy welling up or something. Do you guys have that sense?
Yeah, I definitely understand that, and I think my body is like extremely, extremely, extremely important to me. Um, I absolutely I resonate with like the idea that it's like a tool, and like it's like in like I really like what you said, like you're friends with your body. Like I really get that. Because you want to be good to your body, you want to treat your body with the same like love and appreciation and respect that you would like a friend, um, and so I really understand that, and I definitely get like those physical cues. It's not like it's like maybe I'm like sitting down somewhere, I'm on my phone, and it's like I would like subconsciously every like maybe like minute or so, I'll get like the urge to like look up, and like look around, like just like it's like subconsciously just want to like just check back in with the environment, like make sure everything is still the way it was the last time I checked. And it's like I guess like it's almost like a subconscious like need to just you gotta like stay connected to the external. I think that's like the best way I can explain it. Um, and as for like using my body, like I said, I play basketball. I do a lot of sports. I did a lot of, like I did swimming. I think like I started that like a few years ago. I would like to do track and field like now. And so I really enjoy using my body and exploring like those limits, like those physical limits. What my body is capable of, and um, I think all that is really, really important to me, and it's like again, like it provides me that sense of like I think all like especially like the EP types, they need that like that stimulation, and they need to get it from somewhere. And I think for me, it's like purely physical. I think like the most stimulation I can get is like physical, like physicality, like basketball or weightlifting or definitely basketball. Like I think I remember a few months ago when Joyce typed me and she asked me if there was something I could do like all day, like until like I dropped to the floor, what would it be? And I said, I'll play basketball all day. I would go into the gym and I would literally exhaust myself until I couldn't move anymore because that's where I can find that flow state, and that's where I could find that happiness from, just kind of like just moving, literally like physically moving in the moment, and reacting in the moment, and kind of just like exerting myself physically, and yeah. So I think that absolutely resonates with me. I think my body is definitely my friend.
Totally relate to that, Jane and Christian, about the connection to the body thing. That without health, you got nothing. So like it's the cliche, your body is a temple philosophy thing. So I kind of live by that, but still with some, you gotta enjoy life a little bit, but not like in a way that it risks my health. More like in my younger days then, but.
But Marcus, do you feel you get cues through your body that tell you what's going on?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. So, I mean, it's the physicality, but it's also signaling. Elaine, do you have a thought?
Yeah, I know. Like for me, I'm a pretty visual person. Like I would say, like visual spatial intelligence. And like I've noticed that like everyone I come across has like a specific like vibe about them. And like I'm pretty sensitive to the atmosphere in a room. And like so it's sort of like the cues like coming from people, maybe they haven't even spoken, and then it's just like, oh, like I don't know if I like whatever this person is like putting off.
It's almost like the thing itself gives off a certain ambiance or an atmosphere to it, and you can kind of sum it up through the extroverted sensing, introverted intuition, just kind of feeling it, knowing it in general and instinctive way. Very cool.
Yeah, it goes both ways, like both internal and also the external. This facade here. It's very important, like to both feel healthy on the inside and on the outside. But I don't know how that. I know that ESTPs are known for like being impulsive and stuff like that. Maybe you expose your body to things that are not so good. But I think you can end up both ways. Maybe like if you become more health conscious because of something maybe happens in your life or something. So.
Absolutely. I think everyone on this panel has a really healthy mentality when it comes to your body and your physicality. Things exist on a spectrum, right? So there are ESTPs who understand the importance of actually maintaining their body so that they can use it as a tool even better. But there's also the other side of ESTPs too. Christian was talking about his love of testing physical limits. And so sometimes when you have a person who is like that, they might sometimes have extreme adrenaline behavior too, where it can be a little bit risky, but it's not everyone, right? But there are ESTPs on that end too, where they want to be able to push themselves to the limit almost. And so sometimes that can cause them to also detriment their body in the process of exploring that limit too, because you might push it really hard. But there are moments in their life where even that kind of ESTP can learn about the importance of health. And so there are like both extremes.
I can tell you, I can share my experience when it totally changed, if you want to. Well, I want to. So I'm still a young adult, but it was like 10 years ago. Now I'm 31, so it was like I was 21, I think, or something. And I was partying quite a lot, and at the same time I was sick. I had a fever, so it was, I still worked out and I still partied, and I didn't stop, and it led to heart muscle inflammation. So it was a pretty bad experience, and after that, it totally like changed everything regarding to exposing my body to risk in that way. So yeah, learning from your mistakes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Sometimes when people are health conscious, it comes from a place of they went through an experience where they really put their health on the line. And then now they're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that again. Very interesting. And so I'm curious, what are some ESTP quirks would you say that you have that you really relate to about the type, that you've heard about the type, or that you've discovered about the type on your own that really resonate?
I think I've noticed for me a lot is that I will, like, what's it called, come to a conclusion on my own and then forget to like fill the other person in on like what's happening. Because like I know one time my friend and I were helping babysit this what's it called, like kids for this one event, and I would go off and do something because I would be like, oh, this kid needs like some ice for like a, I don't know, like an injury or something like that. And then I would forget to tell her like what I was doing, and she was like, "Wait, where did she go?" Like, so yeah, that was the one that I noticed.
I could build on that in that I really like my independence, and introverted thinking, it is introverted. Like, we see what's important and I go and decide. And I mean, I've been a private practitioner for a very long time. And there are pros and cons to that, but I'm not afraid of being independent and, making decisions and all that. I enjoy collaboration too, but I have to say I reach conclusions on my own. Yeah, I do.
That's really interesting because there's an inventory called the Strong Interest Inventory. Marcus took it before actually, and he gets enterprising, which is what you were talking about, being a private practitioner. So actually working within the realm of needing to persuade or be independent or run your own kind of shebang. And so you actually do. And I think ESTPs do have some of them have an entrepreneurial bent to them too, because of the SE knowing the opportunities that exist and possibly the TI independence and the FE being able to persuade and work with people and almost adjust themselves to people too.
What you just said fit. And one reason I'm in private practice, other people have come and gone, but maybe I also wondered, I'm willing to tolerate the risk. I mean, the stress point is when you get work and you just work because you're afraid to give anything up. And then there's times when you haven't been looking for business because you were so busy doing business and trusting it would lead to something else. So I think it's both a risk tolerance as well as we do our analytic analysis of what's important, and that's what we want to do. Trusting ourselves to be able to deliver, even if it's a little stressful and not perfect circumstances and not the perfect staff available at the right time. Yeah, I think I wanted my freedom, freedom. I didn't do everything well as an entrepreneur, but that's what I wanted.
Jane, I'm really interested in, since you're a bit older than me and we share the same type, how your journey type as an ESTP has been since, like what's the difference, like when you were like in your 20s and if you compare it to now. If you think, if you have like the functions to analyze that.
I think it was my introverted thinking that I was just so sure that what I was doing was needed. When I was doing, we called them one-on-ones, I would coach the team leader, and then that would end up turning into team building. And then the teams below that, because I worked on decision making, and you have to do 3 level. If you work with decision making in 1 level, you have to cascade it down. And I think I just had my intuition may have come in, a sense that there's a need for this. And every time I'd get another bite, I'd say, well, I could get a job later. And then I'd see how organizations worked and how limited it was if you did what organization development work from the inside. So I think I just so wanted my independence. And I was getting feedback that what I'm doing is really needed. It makes a difference. So I think it was my sense of purpose and my sense that maybe the intuition, I see what's needed next. I can take the client there. I don't want someone to tell me. I don't know if I'm answering well enough.
I think you're doing a great job.
I'm twice your age. So, and you know what I think when I look back and I think about the risk I took, it was risky, but I was okay with it. I do think there's a way in which we have confidence that we will take risk. Your job's got to be risky. Elaine, you're talking about, I want to do this thing. I'll get a job too, but I want to do this. You're following your heart. And Christian, you're a student. Like, there's a lot to be figured out, but I don't know what you're majoring in. You didn't tell us about that, but I bet you have a plan.
I'm majoring in psychology.
Oh, excellent. So. I don't know if it makes a lot of money, but it really works and people need it and go into business with it. Maybe you should come work with me. Maybe I'd find a partner for the first time. I've had other partners, but they don't like the riskiness of it. Also, I wonder too, there are times when you get flooded with work and just trusting that I'll handle it. There'll be times when it's not there. There'll be times when it's there. Like seeing the big picture of it. I don't know. Does this sound like you guys?
Yeah, I relate to that for sure. Like just the confidence that whatever I need to get done will get done, and it'll that will just happen as it happens. I'm not gonna put too much pressure on or too much stock on what I have to do, or just just get it done and right, exactly.
So I was thinking, like, if Jane, if you would think back through the years, and you think of like your lower functions as an ESTP, like the extroverted feeling and introverted intuition. Maybe all the functions, but mostly those two. Like, can you see a pattern, like how they have developed over time? Can you point out specific moments where you feel that that you developed something within you, like in a more specific way?
I never trusted my intuition. And so it was only until I could get older and look back that I went, your vibes about people and your sense of what's happening and reading people in meetings, guess what? It's a lot more accurate. And people had told me in the past, without telling me specifics, said, trust your intuition. You know a lot more than you do. Because I'd sometimes bring up a theme in a meeting or something, but I wasn't going to out someone. Or I didn't know who to out, but I knew something was going on with one subgroup's trying to undermine the other subgroup. And, information was stolen at a company and stuff. And they were looking at the wrong person. I just had this strong intuition. It wasn't until I was much older, like fairly recently, that I went, pay attention. Because I didn't trust where it was coming from. I also know that, our extroverted intuition is a low function. That when I saw associations, I would see negative associations, negative interpretations about me. I was making up bad stuff. Oh, why didn't they invite me back? Oh, that must have been, I said, and that's not what was going on. So our associations can be terribly off what I know about our lower functions is we usually use them against ourselves. They're weapons against ourselves. So I'm releasing that. And then I'm paying, when it comes to introverted sensing, I used to think I had a really accurate memory. People say, no, I don't think you remember that quite right. So I trust certain things I remember, but not others, getting more help from people.
Yeah, memory is an interesting topic, I think.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
So Elaine and Christian, how do you...
Mine is so bad. It's like it was crazy that I'm like only 21 years old, but like it's bad. It's not like I can't remember things, but it's like I think there was, I don't know where I saw this from, but it was like some kind of like analogy where it was like I guess I think for like SI users, like the memory is like, it's like a SD card for like a computer, and so it's like everything kind of gets stored on there, and it's like organized, and kind of like your internally, like they're like your mind is like
bastards.
It's like a filing cabinet, right? So you can kind of like, you remember when you want to remember something, it's like, I can just dip in here and take it out and remember that. And then for like SE users, it's more like, it's like RAM. So it's like you kind of like, you put in new information, but then the old stuff gets kicked out, or like the not important stuff gets kicked out. And so it's like literally, I remember many times in high school where my mom would tell me to, like, just a random situation where she would take me and tell me to take the trash out, or no, it would be the trash would have already been taken out by like the move, by the trash people, and so I would have to take the trash can back inside from being on the curb, and so I would come from my bus stop, and I would walk in, and I'll walk into my house. I'll have to walk past it to go in the house. I gotta go in the house, and I gotta open the garage, and I gotta, so I gotta come back out to get it. And so she would always get on me for forgetting to get the trash can, because like I always walk past it. So it's like I see it and I'm like, okay, I'll get that. I go inside, forget about it, and then like it'd be the evening, she'll come home. It's like, why didn't you get it? You walked past it. I forgot. It's not in my. It wasn't in my. It wasn't in my immediate memory anymore, because I already walked past it, and so I forgot about it. If it was more important, if it took more real estate in my mind, then I probably would have remembered to get it, but it didn't. And after I walked past it, it was like it didn't even exist anymore. So it's like that.
The recall, yeah.
Yeah, it's like obviously I have object permanence because I'm a fully functioning human being, but it's like that's like kind of what it is. It's like I feel like SEs just have like a really like weak object permanence. Like as soon as it's out of sight, it's out of mind, and you don't. Yeah, it's not good. I remember it.
Yeah. What's relevant is normally what's on mind. So I've heard some SE users will also have this experience with sometimes friends too. It's like you really love your friends, but if you haven't been hanging out around them, then you're more focused on what's actually happening around you. And eventually when they become more relevant in your life again, like you'll incorporate them back. But it's almost like, well, I don't out of sight, out of mind for this period of my life. Yeah, I'll let other people talk.
Oh my god.
I'm going to have to bow out. I just got a signal that my next appointment has come up. So I'll watch the rest of this when it's available on YouTube.
Cool. I think this is a good place to also end it too. So thanks everyone for coming out today and discussing your ESTP mind. I really think we need more of your type's representation in the type space because nobody knows. It's like a mystery. How do you guys function? So thank you for representing y'all. Yeah, Jane, you have a lot of knowledge in type. You work in this space, and I have a lot of like hats off to you for spreading type awareness and also being an ESTP in the space professionally, also teaching about type too. Huzzah, yeah, representation. And yeah, Christian, you are young but wise and you have a lot of purpose and drive. And so I'm excited to see where your passion takes you. And Elaine, it's really cool to know about your cosplay adventures with your SE. You probably have a really good aesthetic eye with putting together the outfits for your cosplay too. And Marcus, it's cool to have an ESTP helping people in these very interesting scenarios. So you bring this interesting occupational field to the ESTP experience. And so without further ado, I'll let you guys go so you can have your freedom to live your day however you'd like. And so thanks for coming out. I really, really, really appreciate it.
I enjoyed meeting my fellow panelists.
I agree. Thank you so much.
It was nice meeting you guys.
Nice meeting you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care.